how's it going? Today we're gonna go over a couple of decks I made for two different sets. This one was actually when Tajik was current, and this one is when Lord of the Rings was current. So I guess we'll go over the Lord of the Rings first. So, right off the bat, the two core creatures of these decks are going to be Frodo, Sauron's Bane, and Nazgul. Nazgul, obviously, it's going to be procting your ring tempt and empowering each other, making your battlefield ridiculous, especially since you could have 9 of them. Normally, you should have 4 of these in here. I only have enough tokens for 2 at the moment. I've been building other decks, so I haven't really messed with this since now it's historic. But basically, your whole goal in this deck is to make your Nazguls so scary that they won't bother to block your 2/3 halfling scout, which in turn will fuck them. Because when you fully upgrade Frodo over here, and he deals combat damage to a player, the player just loses the game if your ring's been tempted 4 more times. So with that, we're gonna go over some of the creatures and some of the spells. So some of the larger creatures, we're gonna go with Witch King, Bringer of Ruin. Like this guy, whenever he attacks, the punting player has to sack a creature with the least power, which makes it so much easier for Frodo to get through. If you look over here, the Ring Bearer can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. So basically, if they have something that's got 1 power, 2 power, and that's their weakest, every time this Wraith Noble attacks with Frodo and he's the Ring Bearer, your ring has been tempted 4 times, it's game over. Right here, another good one. Also, in addition, if you've already got those other 2 out, throwing a Ring Wraith is broken. When it enters, target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. If that creature was legendary, they also lose 3 life. Now here's the combo. You got when the ring tempts you, return Ring Wraiths from your graveyard to your hand. Right? So call the ring over here. Beginning of your upkeep, the ring tempts you. When you choose a creature, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. Right? And then, if you notice on the second thing here, when the Ring Bearer attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. The whole goal is whenever your ring has been tempted 2 or more and you have a Ring Bearer, you're going to be drawing tons of cards. And whenever your Ring Bearer attacks, you're going to be drawing and discarding. So the key is to hopefully nab one of these Ring Wraiths early game, so you are always using it as the discard cost. Because every time your ring tempts you, this is going to go right back in your hand. You can discard it again. You literally have a free discard cost till you have 6 mana and can play it or want to play it. So it's a really good combination. Then we got Witch King of Agmar. I probably butchered that name. Also a great creature. Flying, whenever 1 or more creatures deal combat damage to you, each opponent has to sacrifice a creature that dealt combat damage to you this turn. And the ring tempts you. Top of that, discard a card, he gains indestructible until end of turn, and you tap him. But here's the kicker, you can block something first, then discard a card, so he gains indestructible and taps, but he's still blocking and goes through combat. So it's a nice little kicker, especially if you use Ring Wraiths as the discard cost. um, you know, because after combat, if anything got through and the ring tempted you, boom, you just got your indestructible cost right back in your hand. Let's see. Here we go. Got one of these guys in here. This is just for like later game when I got a couple Nazguls out. Whenever 2 or more creatures I control attack a player, target attacking creature without flying gains flying. So that's another way to get like a high-powered Nazgul through, or maybe just get Frodo through if I need to, you know? For another creature, we got Gandalf the White Rider. I just kind of tossed that in here just because the scry is like, so fucking necessary, unfortunately. Like, one thing that can proc scry frequently, if it's played, is necessary in this deck. Because, there are a lot of times you can get just effed over by only getting spells or only getting creatures or only getting lands, and the scry really is just helpful. Plus, when he dies, you can put him into your owner's into your library, 5th from the top, which I find kind of funny. Anyways, next creature, we got Boromir, Warden of the Tower. Amazing creature for this deck. Vigilance. When an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, it's countered. Top of that, if you sacrifice him, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of the turn, and the ring tempts you. Nazgul. Obviously, we already know they got to be in the deck. 9 of them. When he enters, the ring tempts you, and then whenever the ring tempts you, you put a 1 counter on each wraith you control, and a deck can have up to 9 of them. They're pretty broken. More creatures. We got Samwise the Stout-Hearted. When he enters, choose up to 1 target permanent card in your graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn, return it to your hand, and the ring tempts you with flash. So what I like to do is like block something with a Nazgul. They both die. I flash, play Sam, bring the Nazgul back to my hand, play it again. Save Frodo if someone kills it. You know, the only thing you really can't save is things that are exiled. And then for the last creature on this list, Frodo, Sauron's Bane. We already went over this guy a little bit. Basically, if you tap 2 white, 2 black, 1 of each, Frodo becomes a halfling scout with a base power and toughness of 2/3 and lifelink. And if you tap just 3 black after, if he's a scout, he becomes a halfling rogue with whenever he deals combat damage to a player, the player loses the game if the ring has tempted you 4 more times. If the ring hasn't, the ring tempts you. Really kind of just effed up. Super broken. So now let's go over the spells here. We're looking at Painful Quandary. It's my favorite enchantment for black, other than Dictated Verbos. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless they discard a card. Next one, Gix's Command. Also, really top tier sorcery here. Choose 2. You can put 2 1/1 counters on up to 1 creature. It gains lifelink until end of turn. Destroy each creature with power 2 or less. Return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand, or each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power among creatures they control. Which is great to get around indestructible creatures. Right here. Target creature you control gains indestructible for as long as you control Tail of... Not even going to try to pronounce that. The second stage is return target creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield. Nice. And then the third one is up to 2 target creatures you control each gain lifelink until end of turn, which is kind of necessary for this deck just because you end up paying quite a bit of life just with the Call of the Rings. So, right here, you need some kill spells, and they tempt the ring. Not a bad deal. One of my personal white favorites. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each attacking creature they control that's attacking. It's really messed up. If you get that in early game, it's going to be a rough game for them. We already went over Call of the Ring. Beginning of your upkeep, the ring tempts you, and if you choose a creature as your ring bearer, you can pay 2 life. If you do, draw an extra card. Right here. When this enters, each opponent discards 2 cards unless they discard a non-land card. And then when you upgrade it, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if they have 1 or fewer cards in hand, they lose 2 life. And then, on top of that, at the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card for each opponent who has 1 or fewer cards in hand. So this kind of, like, manhandles your opponent into not wanting to use their spells just to maintain more cards in their hand than this spell can like target them for. One of my personal favorite. legendary enchantment. Legendary creatures you control get +2/+1 and have ward 1, immediately making your ring bearer have ward 1 and +2/+1. And then all other non-legendary creatures you control get +1/+1. Slip on the ring, real fun instant. Exile target creature you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. The ring tempts you. You proc this on a Nazgul, dude. You're tempting the ring twice. If you have more than one Nazgul out, all those Nazguls are freaking getting stronger and giving out 1/1 counters. It gets crazy. This is just, you know, kind of force someone to return something to their hand. I like to save it for an opponent's turn, just to kind of make them waste their mana for no reason. And I get to draw a card. Right here, simple exile, just exile target creature for 2 mana. Not bad. I like to add a lot of hexproof and like return and like stuff like that to this kind of deck because, you know, Frodo and the Nazgul are extremely important to this deck really working, so you want to be able to always either protect them or return them. Right here, again, you can make a creature you control gain protection from the color of your choice. If it's a creature, you put a 1 counter on it. Here, this is just for like hopeful early game. Let's see what their hand, what we got in the store here. Plus you get to discard a card. You lose 2 life. These are pretty cool. You get to return creature from your graveyard to your hand for 1 mana, and the ring tempts you. Golem's Bite. Nice early game, -2/-2, and for the rest of the game you can tempt whenever you want for 4 mana. I did add 2 of the Restless Fortresses just because I want to be able to gain 2 life and force them to lose 2 life just by attacking with it. The extra life gain's nice, and they lose 2 life just from it attacking, even if it doesn't even get through, which is nice. Deal some damage, gain some life, and then lands. And then one more deck I wanted to go over was my Tajic Blade of the Legion deck. Now you can do this however you want, but the important things are, let's see, let's just move these over. So the important things are right here. So the whole concept of this deck is basically kind of these cards in this stack. So basically you got Baird at the beginning of your end step, creature you control with has greater power than its base. You get to create a soldier token. You got low costing 1/1 double strike vigilance trample. Tajic. The entire deck is based around him. Indestructible haste at the beginning of combat in your turn, you put a 1/1 counter on him. Then you conjure a card with mana value equal to the number of 1/1 counters on him. It gains haste at the end until end of turn and attacks. And the spellbook is broken. Swiftblade, Vindicator, Sky Knight Legionnaire, Spark Trooper, and then the 5th one is Aurelia, the Law Above, which is great. We did throw 1 in here as well. But you got Tajic, Aurelia the War Leader, my favorite version. Whenever it attacks for the first time, you can get a second combat phase. Leonin, whenever this attacks, create 1/1 white catch creature tokens with lifelink. Whenever she attacks, she creates X soldier artifact creature tokens, where X is the number of soldiers you control, and your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of creatures, artifacts, or enchantments during my turn. Let's see, some other extra cards. Whenever a creature you control power 2 less enters, gain 1 life and draw a card. Aurelia, you already saw this in the spellbook, but Whenever a player attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card. Whenever a player attacks with 5 or more creatures, Aurelia, the law above, deals 3 damage to each of your opponents and you gain 3 life. Now, mind you, this says whenever a player. So if your opponent decides to attack with 3 or more creatures, you draw on a card. If your player decides to attack with 5 or more creatures, like your opponent, you dealing 3 damage and gaining 3 life. Some more buff creatures in here. We have my Ogre Warrior. Whenever another creature you control enters, that creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste, which kind of mixes well with Tajic, Legion's Valor, and Leonin War Leader, as well as Muriel Shield of Argive. You got Baird to kind of make it so creatures have to pay. They have to pay 1 for each creature attacking. True Fire Captain to make them not want to attack at all, because it can reflect the damage it's dealt to an opponent. Obviously, Archangel Elspeth as the Planeswalker, she's broken and awesome. She could just continuously keep creating soldier tokens, and very good Planeswalker here. Caretaker's Talent. In my last video I went over this one, but it works well with soldier tokens as well. We've already gone over Siege Veteran before in a previous video. At the beginning of combat in your turn, put a 1 counter on target creature you control, and whenever a non-token soldier you control dies, you create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. Having 3 of those is nice, having 4 is even better. Ghostly Prison, I showed that in the last deck. Fantastic. Integrity. I like using it, it's just one or even the other or both sometimes. Let's see, what have we not gone over? Bladehold War Whip. Putting this on Tajic is nice. Equipped creature has double strike and it has 4 Meridian. Frostification. At the beginning of combat in your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0, or target creature you control gains menace and haste. Rip Apart. It's good to deal 3 damage or destroy artifact or enchantment if you need to. Destroy target blocking creature. Creatures that were blocked this turn gain trample. Great for people who are just trying to easily block Tajic. Justice Strike to take care of those creatures, those pesky creatures they got the same power and toughness. Love this. Wish I had more. Only have 1 right now. The next time your sorcerer choice would deal damage this turn, prevent it. If the damage is prevented, it deals that much damage to the sorcerer's controller. Cooped Up. I used this in a last video. I'm also putting it into this one. It's just a really great enchantment all around. Angelic Intervention. This was in my last deck. Gives you the protection and the 1/1 counter if it's a creature. And then Jawbone Duelist, just because it's got the double strike and toxic, as well as being a soldier. So if I can buff that up with 1/1 counters, it's dealing 2 toxic tokens and has double strike. It's fantastic. All around, this gets really crazy. If it pulls well. This right here too is kind of great later in the game because you continuously gain life and draw a card. So, but yeah, these are my 2 decks that I've been really working on recently. They have a pretty decent win rate, but I hope you enjoy, and if you enjoyed them, you are welcome to copy them and try them out. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.